Welcome, everyone in the United States, Canada, and around the world to another episode of It's a Wrap with Rap, the podcast of overcomers and useful information that better our daily life and mental well-being. I am your host, Ron Rapaport. I would like to thank all our listeners, viewers, and our sponsors and supporters for making the podcast such a success. Besides being heard on all major platforms and our YouTube channel, the podcast may also be accessed on our website. It's a wrap with rap.com where you can find all the episodes, previews of future episodes, and unique products and services offered by our sponsors, as well as the podcast Book Nook, showcasing many of the books our guests have authored that may be purchased on Amazon. My guest today is Kijuan Amey. Kijuan, the visionary behind Amey Motivation, hails from Durham, North Carolina, where his journey of resilience and success began. After graduating from Southern High School, he dedicated a decade of his life to the United States Air Force, achieving the rank of Staff Sergeant as an in-flight refueling specialist. Medically retired, he transitioned into academia, earning a degree and founding Amey Motivation LLC. Kijuan also served as the vice president for the Carolina Regional Group of the Blinded Veterans Association. Kijuan is also a mentor and ambassador for the Air Force Wounded Warriors program. Beyond his remarkable military career, Kijuan is a man of many talents, boasting over 25 years of drumming expertise, on-stage acting, and now an upcoming author of the bestseller Don't Focus on Why Me. However, life took an unexpected turn on May 5th, 2017, when a motorcycle accident claimed his eyesight. Yet, as Kijuan profoundly states, I may have lost my sight, but I did not lose my vision. Now armed with an inspiring story of overcoming adversity, Kijuan has become a motivational force, and he's with us today to empower others and to prove to others that reaching their highest potential and dreams are within their reach. From Durham, North Carolina, United States, welcome, Kijuan, to the podcast, and thank you for your service.
Yes, that was amazing. I truly appreciate you having me on your platform just to share my story because this is truly a story to be heard.
Yes, yes, I read your book. It was excellent. You're a very good writer, and we're going to get your
Thank you.
story out, and we're going to hopefully everybody in the audience is going to heed from it, and those struggling are going to hear your story, and hopefully be much better off by the end of the podcast. Now, let's start off by first telling us how life was for you prior to May 5th, 2017, when your accident occurred.
Absolutely. So before May 5th, everything would be pretty nice. Okay.
Yep,
Stable. I mean, as you heard, I was going to school full time to get my bachelor's degree so that I could commission and become a pilot in the Air Force because at the time, like you heard, I was doing in-flight refueling specialist. And that's where you refuel planes in midair.
I know.
Yeah, so
Wow.
for the listeners and the viewers, that's where basically like you know how you're driving around on the ground here and you go to the gas station to put gas in your car. Well, just imagine pulling up to a flying gas station in the air.
Yeah.
Uh, only the military does this, by the way. I must, put that disclaimer out there because I don't want you thinking a commercial flight will do it. They won't.
No, I don't
So,
think so.
so this is all military, guys, and man, when I say a roller coaster of a ride, um, filled with emotions, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, because there were some bad times. Trust me, I did think I was gonna die once or twice. So, um, it is something of precision and accuracy. I mean, it's so amazing
Oh, it has
how,
to.
how,
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing how stable these pilots are, or stable they are, because when you're doing something that close to one another, I just have to preface by saying in our book, as soon as you open the regulations, it states flying two planes in close proximity is inherently dangerous. Do you think?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
what do you mean?
I
I
mean,
don't even think you
you
need to
can't
put that
touch
there.
wings, put it like that.
Yeah, like I don't even think you need to do that or say that right there. So, but that's what it states. That's the first warning it puts in there. And warnings in our books mean it could be potentially death, you know.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so well, the reason I say that is we had warnings, cautions, and notes in our books that we had to read. And so the warnings potentially fatal. Cautions, there's a chance. Be careful, And then the notes is just kind of like, okay, just read this for your Q&A or your just your notifications and have in mind. So, um, what we call essay or situational awareness. So anyway, I had an amazing job, to say the least, doing that at from the age of 19. Like what? To put that kind of what I would call power in my hand. You put this much faith in me to do that? Okay.
That's my that raises a question on my end.
Yeah.
How did you get picked for that, or is that something that was hey, we've got this precise job out there. Uh, if you think you're qualified, did you step up for it? How did that work?
So yeah, going into the military, you have to take what they call the ASVAB. So that's the test before you can even get in. And so when you take this test, that's what determines how what kind of job you're gonna get, basically.
Okay.
Whether it's gonna be a good one or a bad one. Okay. So when I tell you I scored high on my
Yeah.
test, he was so like my recruiter was so excited with me. He was like, I haven't had somebody score this high in a while. Hey man, can you come in right now so you can look at your at your job list? This
Wow.
dude had printed out front and back like 7 or 8 pages worth of jobs,
Yeah.
front and back now. And
Wow.
he's went through and highlighted already, like jobs that he wants me to look into. And I was like, but what if I want to look at something that's not highlighted? He's like, trust me, these are the ones you want to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want the other ones.
Yeah, he's like, just trust me on this.
Yeah.
So, no, that was like, so I had like maybe 4 or 5 air crew jobs that I could have did.
Yeah.
3 of them I knew I wasn't doing. Like it was just one of like aerial gunner. No, I didn't want to get shot at. If that was the
Okay.
case, I would stay on the ground and do it,
Yeah.
and some other things. They had flight attendant and stuff like that, but I would, no, I definitely wasn't doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And he told me I knew about Loadmaster, which is kind of basically you loading cargo into the plane,
Uh-huh.
like the C5, the C-17, and the C-130s.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know the tanker did that though. The tanker actually, the tankers do that too. So the KC-135s, the KC-10s, and the KC-46s, which are all refueling aircraft, can load cargo too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but he was like, "Yeah, man, that Loadmaster is pretty cool, but I want you to check this job out." And that's when he pointed out in-flight refueling. I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, "You don't know what that is?" I was like, "That's your job." You know, you
He
know
had
what I
he
mean?
had faith in you.
Like I'm like, that's your job to know, man. Not for me to know what it is. It's for you to know. And so he turns around to his computer and pulls that video up. I said, okay, this is a cool prank, but I know that's not real. Like he's like, yes, it is. It's like it's only like 4 countries that do this,
I
and
was
we're
going to
number
ask
one.
you, yeah.
Yeah,
What other countries do it, do you know?
I know for sure Japan does it.
Okay.
They actually use some of our old tankers.
Okay.
They bought some of our tankers off of us. They use the KC-10s mostly.
Yeah.
But yeah, or for my civilian guys who know airplanes, that's a DC-10 that was converted
Yeah.
into
I've
a
been in the
KC.
DC-10. It's a very safe plane.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Until you put another one next to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't have that. I didn't have that happen.
And the KC-135 is a Boeing 707, but they
Yeah.
modified it so much that it turned into like a 717. And so they had to modify that plane so much for the aerodynamics, the boom that was attached to it, all the ability to hold the fuel, the extra gas and stuff. It
Yeah.
was so interesting what they had to do to that plane. But yeah, the my favorite plane to refuel was the F-22, but
Okay.
the one that I wish I could have refueled. was the SR-71
Why is that?
because it was so for everybody who remembers X-Men and remembers the jet that they used to fly around on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Listen, that plane was so dominant in what it did.
yeah.
I have to tell this story. Sorry, French, but it's your fault. So the SR-71 was doing a reconnaissance mission over in Europe. And I think it started in Asia, like near Russia and stuff. Well, as they're leaving to come back towards, where they had, originated from, they were coming through the French territory, and French picked it up on their radars. So they scrambled fighters. Okay, that's cool. The SR-71 is just cruising, and it was stealth capable, but it somehow they picked it up anyway. And so the French guy comes up on the left wing of the SR-71, and now he's talking to them over the radio. And
Yeah.
one of the crew members happens to look out the window. And he's like, "Hey, we got somebody on our wing." And he was like, "Haha, they're telling us we're inside of their borders and we need to land." The the aircraft commander said, "Yeah, screw that." So the guy that saw him initially flipped him off, gave him the bird man, and they pushed the throttles up.
Wow.
The fighter couldn't do anything about it because it was just that fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say it just took off.
Yeah, and by the time that he was going to try to catch up to them, they were already out of their borders.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, man, that thing was so dominant. But see, the thing about the refueling capability of it is it flew so fast that
Yeah,
when it would come in to refuel, it had been heated up because it went so fast. So the outside panels that we're looking at, not what the crew is inside with, but what we see, the black surface, all of those panels, because they slowed down, have now expanded. And then as soon as you make contact with it and start pumping fuel into it,
yeah,
it's coming out everywhere.
really.
Yeah, it was coming out because the panels had expanded and weren't sealing the fuel in. So
Oh,
it was like
wow.
we're wasting money
Yeah,
somewhere.
gas is pouring out there.
Yep.
Tell me, Kiwan, how you chose the Air Force and
Uh,
what your career, what was your career like from 2010 on until the accident happened?
the reason I started laughing is because initially I was going to choose the Navy.
Yeah,
Reason being is because I have a lot of Navy family.
right.
We had one Army, uh, and then we had a Navy that switched to the Coast Guard. So he's now Coast Guard. I think he just made E8. So I think he's an E8 now, which is
Okay.
one step away from the highest rank. And then you had me. I broke up and I said, well, I'm going to do the Air Force. And the reason being, it's not because I wanted to go against, the family or
Yeah,
nothing like that. It had nothing to do with that. It was the recruiter fault, the Navy recruiter's fault. He
well,
talked me out of going to the Navy.
he talked you out of it.
Yes, literally talked me out
Why
of
do you
going to
think
the
that
Navy.
was?
I'm gonna tell you here in a second. So, so as I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'll never forget his last name. It was Brooks. And so as I'm sitting there talking to him, I'm like, all I cared about was getting my schooling paid for because that's originally what I wanted to do was go to college
Right,
after high
right.
school. So I'm like, hey, how does the GI Bill work? And we're sitting there talking, oh yeah. And he pulls out the pamphlet, he's pointing. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't understand that. Like I read this online before I got here. I need
Yeah.
to understand it. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? You know? And so he's like, yeah, well, you do this and you go, I'm like, I don't get it. He's like, hold on, let's check out some jobs real quick. I'm like, okay. So we're talking about jobs for like 30 to 45 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. I already looked at those. Hey, what about this GI Bill thing again? And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah. So he hands me the pamphlet now instead of pointing at it. He
Yeah.
hands it to me. Yeah, man, take that home and read it. Just check it out, gloss it over, or however you feel. And I am now to the point where I'm like, okay, so you don't care about what I want to know about.
So he didn't answer any of your questions.
No. Now you're just shoving me a piece of paper where I can go find this stuff online.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I make up a lie and I pull my phone out and I'm, oh, shoot, I forgot. I got to go pick up my sister. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. Here's my phone number on the card. You can, just call me and we can set up something. I said, okay, okay. I took that card and the nearest trash can I found, I dropped it in.
That was that.
Yeah. And I literally walked out of that office. I did not leave the building. I just walked out of that office because they had multiple services in there. And so I made a left and made a quick right and walked straight into the Air Force recruiter's office. And as soon as I walked into the door at the top on the wall, it was a pennant and it said Community College of the Air Force. I said, huh, well, that looks like a cool sign. And so I kept
That's
walking in
that's
further.
what you wanted. Yeah.
Exactly. I kept walking in a little bit further and I, make a right. There's nobody in this office, this recruiter's office. And except for the two recruiters standing there talking to each other. And I'm standing there looking at them. And they're like, can we help you? And I'm like, I think I want to join the Air Force. They're like, oh, come on in. The whole like vibe was just totally different
Yeah.
compared to where I was in the
Oh
other one.
yeah. Yeah. Makes a difference who you talk to.
It does.
It's like going to the airport,
Yep.
and checking in. You get somebody great, and then you get somebody not so great.
Hmm. So when I first, that's how that whole choosing which branch to go to, that's how
Yeah.
that got started. And then actually the Air Force initially, when they first saw me, like physically, when they first saw me and asked me what I did and all this other stuff, because I played football, ran track, all that. They're like, hell, you ever thought about PJ? I said no, because I don't plan on doing that. He's like, oh, okay, all right. It's like, you sure you don't want to do any special forces? I said, dude, if you're gonna push special forces on me, I'm gonna leave too. Like, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Don't push your agenda on me. And with me having military experience from my families, they're
Right.
like, you pick your job. Don't let them pick it.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so, when he was doing that, I said, hey, listen, I just walked out of the Navy guy's office. Don't make don't make this even the second one. Because if I leave out of your office, I'm not going to anybody else's.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do the Army or the Marines. I mean, no offense. Y'all can look as cool as y'all want and sound like y'all the baddest branch in the world. I'm not doing it.
Not for you.
That's not my style.
Yeah, I hear. I hear
Yeah, so anywho, finally getting enlisted and going to boot camp so I went in 20 February of 2011
you. Yeah.
is when I initially I mean, literally feet on the ground in San Antonio at Lackland Air Force
Yep.
Base.
I think everybody goes there.
Yes, that's what the boot camp is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hit that, man. I mean, when I tell you culture shock, I mean, you could try your best to prepare your mind. I mean, it's not the same now. They've kind of changed it and, um, for lack of better terms, it's soft. It's
Well,
it's so
it's
soft now.
interesting you mentioned that, and
Yeah.
no offense to anybody, but my father-in-law
Mm,
was in the Air Force for 20 years. He
yeah.
was in the Korean War.
Mm,
And then we have some other people in the family that are in Air Force, and they went through Lackland and all that. And
hmm.
he went to their graduation. Now you got to understand, right now he's in his 90s.
Right.
And so he goes to the graduation. That's a few years back. And he came home and he said, "Man, it's changed. it was like going to a Boy Scout meeting or something. I said, "Are you kidding?"
Uh,
He goes, "No." He says, "It's
yes,
not like it
he,
was."
he is accurate.
Yeah,
They literally cannot even get in your face anymore.
yeah. Well, they did when he was around. When he
Oh,
was,
they did when I was around too.
yeah,
This is recent.
yeah.
And so, like literally right here, like they could be right here on me. Now, if you get that close to somebody, they can hold up a stress card. I am
Express
stressed
card.
out.
Are you kidding?
I'm not lying to you.
Wow.
I said, huh, I wonder if that will stop any bullets flying at you when you deploy.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work with the enemy too well.
What is this? Is this supposed to be a Captain America shield or something? Because it's not going to work on the battlefield.
No, no.
I'm just saying, like, and that's what you have to be able to withstand something. Because if you deploy once and just the smallest thing happens to you, you're not going to make it.
Yeah. Now you got to be tough.
You imagine a mortar or rocket hitting a base, it's over. Like you're not going to know what to do. You're probably going to lock up.
You hold up that stress card.
Well, time out, time. I did not know this was going to happen. Somebody lied.
Well, moving on, Kijuan.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, take us back to May 5th, 2017. Tell us what you know about what happened. I know you didn't really know, other people told you that day, and the circumstances under which it was described to you in the hospital, as well as the injuries you sustained.
Now I do remember like the beginning of that day because
Yeah,
the accident didn't happen till like 2 p.m.
yeah.
But the beginning of that day, I the Amey Motivation is not my first business. This is actually my second. Yeah, my I guess you say second or third, whichever way you want to move it, because I have two right now. So,
Okay.
um, but the first business I ever had was Kiwi Enterprise. And this is where I would do website design and management, social media marketing, and photography for small businesses. And so that day, I actually, being the webmaster of my church's website, I was gonna go take pictures of the exterior of the church because it needed to be updated. There were some things we made modifications on,
Okay.
and we needed to update the website. So that's what I was gonna go do. But it was such a nice day on May 5th in North Carolina that I brought out my motorcycle. And so from my apartment to the church is about roughly 10 minutes. And for my motorcycle riders, you know what that means. It was probably shorter.
Right.
So I get there and I'm taking these photos, and then I'm like, do I really want to take this bike right back home and put it in the garage? Nah. And so that's when I would go to one of my favorite places to ride out to, which was the lake, Jordan Lake. And the reason I say that is because that was where I used to go to like meditate, be alone, just kind of think. One of my thinking spots. You go sit on
Yeah.
the dock by yourself because usually nobody else is out there. If somebody else is out there, it's maybe like two people. That's it at most,
Yeah.
and so um I rode out there and that's
Our guest and supporter of the It's a Wrap with Rap podcast, Jennifer Cramer-Miller, has authored a nonfiction true story titled Incurable Optimist: Living with Illness and Chronic Hope. This inspirational memoir of a 22-year-old woman's sudden autoimmune kidney failure details a resilient journey of chronic illness, unfailing love, and moving forward with joy. At 22, Jennifer was thrilled with her new job, charming boyfriend, and Seattle apartment. The day she received a devastating autoimmune diagnosis, planning for her bright future went to finding herself soaking in a hospital pillow with tears and grappling with words like progressive and incurable. That day, Jennifer crossed over from wellness to chronic illness, from thriving to kidney failure. Her chances of survival hinged upon the expertise of doctors, the generosity of strangers, and the benevolence of loved ones. Spanning 2+ decades, this family love story explores loss and acceptance, moving forward with uncertainty, and forging a path of joy. This award-winning book gives us a real look at what it is like to be living with illness. With a crystal clear writing style, Jennifer describes the fear and desperation after her diagnosis while bravely holding on to resilience, joy, and hope. We have all heard the words dialysis and transplant, but do we really know what those words mean to live them? You will, through Jennifer's writing style, feel that you are walking in her shoes and get a real appreciation for what one goes through with this condition. And after you are finished reading the book, have a greater appreciation for your own kidneys and those people who donate their kidneys out of the goodness of their heart. After 4 kidney transplants, Jennifer is here to shine a bright light on people helping people in difficult times with a story that will make you want to hug the humans you love. Sometimes it's the sorrows that threaten to break us apart that ultimately unite us in hope. The award-winning book, Incurable Optimist, Living with Illness and Chronic Hope, is available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook format from Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, and wherever books are sold. Details about the book will be listed in the podcast notes or by clicking the link in this message.
About 30 minutes one way. So that's a good ride, to hit that 30 minutes one way and then another 35 minutes coming back.
Right.
And so that's what I did. I went out there and I had to work that night or that weekend, shall I say, but I did have to go in that night. And so I noticed what time it was. Oh shucks, I gotta go. I gotta get ready to get to work. Gotta go grab my stuff and go on down. So I hop on the bike, take off. I'm riding down the street, which was a highway, Highway 751. And in North Carolina, for those who don't know, we have tall trees, especially in our, what we call the sticks. But in the woods or in the country area, the countryside, we have really tall trees. And there were trees along this highway. It was the lane I'm in, and then the lane that's going past me. So it's only 2 lanes here.
Okay.
And so just to kind of set the scene up for you. And as I'm riding along, I have my helmet on and I had Bluetooth capability in this helmet so that I could answer the phone, listen to music, maybe even have my GPS going while I'm riding. And so at this point, I'm listening to music and I'm jamming out. So I just like to ride with some tunes in my head, just so it's not too quiet or,
Yeah.
too quiet or whatever. But as I'm riding, there are intersections and driveways. So this one intersection, there was a car, a silver Honda Accord, that pulled out in front of me. And I'm running 55. And for those who don't know about motorcycles, they don't stop on a dime.
Right.
And if they do, there's 2 reasons why. You either locked up that front brake and you're gonna flip, or you hit something. That's it. You laid that bike down some way, somehow.
Yeah.
So as he pulls out in front of me, like I said, I'm running 55. I got 3 options. I can go right, and I just told y'all there's trees everywhere. So I could have went into the trees. I could have went left and went into oncoming traffic, or I could have did what ended up happening, and that's freezing up and hitting him. And from that moment on, I know nothing. I have no recollection of anything except for what was told to me from, the police report and witnesses who saw it because there were 2 cars behind him at the scene of the crime. And they wrote on the police report that they saw me coming. Both of them, both of the 2 cars behind me saw me coming. So
Wow.
they don't know why he didn't.
Yeah. Why did he go? Yeah. He just did. So,
Yeah. So I would have to be life flighted to the hospital. Um, to, just it was, trust me, it was bad. When I tell you, literally like my face was crushed in. So I had to be cut from ear to ear because of the swelling that was on my brain.
Yeah.
So they cut me from ear to ear across the top. Um, then they eventually would go in and surgically implant two metal plates in my head. And for those who can see, do you see that right there?
Yeah.
That's where one of the metal implants is.
Yeah.
And then the roof of my mouth is formed with one as well to kind of push my face back out because like I said, it was crushed in. My right eyelid, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was the plexiglass from the face shield, but it was torn off. So my eye had been popped out actually. Uh, and then they had to do skin grafting from my left clavicle, which is right there at your collarbone, to
Yeah.
repair it, surgically repair it. And then let's see. Both of my eyes, like I said, I cannot see. I'm 100% blind. The left eye sees nothing. It's completely dark. I have damaged blood vessels on that side. I did not damage my optic nerves. They're still intact. But the right eye sees a little bit of light perception, but it's got to be like super bright. So like the sunlight or that really annoying light that they shine in your eye at the eye doctor.
Yeah.
So those something really bright. Um, now
So the accident changed your whole life, like
Yeah,
in
and
a
that's
second.
just my head that I'm telling you about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
of course, the traumatic brain injury, the PTSD that I suffer from, that's slowly going away because I go to mental therapy for that part. My mouth, as you can hear, sometimes I stumble over my words, so that's why I try to slow down. But my jaw was broken, and that's probably the cheapest part of the bill, which was $20,000 after the insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Are you still in pain from the accident?
absolutely,
You are.
absolutely. Um, and they were going to keep me on pain medication
Yeah.
for the rest of my life. I was like, unless it's going to literally physically hurt, like if I'm going to walk around hurting all day, then yeah, I'll take it. But if I'm not, it's just going to be like if I'm sitting, for example, if I didn't have the back to this chair and I sat here for like over an hour, then yeah, I would start hurting. Because I have two rods and 12 screws in my back. Because my spine was surgically implanted, or I got that surgically implanted from L4 to T2.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
And just looking at you here on the Zoom picture, you wouldn't think.
no, no,
I mean, yeah, the guy's, got sunglasses on, but
yeah.
yeah, he looks okay to me, you know.
Yeah,
So,
no, hey, listen, I've told so many people forget that I'm blind because of how I operate.
yeah, yeah.
Without the actual, like, like you say, sunglasses or my cane, people forget.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They wouldn't
So,
know.
yeah.
What was your mindset like after the accident? And did you have professional help dealing with it, or did you deal with your mindset on your own?
So the initial mindset, because of course like I said, I don't remember anything from the accident. I didn't wake up until June the 6th because I was in a medically induced coma
So
for a month.
yeah, for a month, yeah,
Yeah, so waking up was kind of like literally I felt like I was waking up in my bed in my bedroom.
right.
Like that's what I thought I was when I woke up. Until I was like, wait a minute. One thing that I do know how to do, and that is put pieces together. So I was like, hold on. Now, I know why my girlfriend would be in my room, but what the heck is my mom doing in here? You know, like I shouldn't be waking up with her in my bedroom. That is not cool. What are y'all trying to do? Steal my stuff? Like I don't get this. And so then I just like kind of lay there and play possum, like, what are they talking about? And then I heard them talking about a motorcycle accident. And so now things just got a little serious because they're not saying who it was that got in the accident.
Yeah,
So here I go.
you can't see.
No, I hadn't even tried yet.
Yeah,
I'm still playing possum.
Yeah.
But now since they're not saying the name, now I'm gonna try to wake up and see what's going on. So I go to open my eyes, only to not be able to see anything. And so I'm like, wait a minute. And then I do one of those really hard blinks, like I'm gonna clear up my eyesight, and then it's gonna just magically come back.
To all patients and caregivers out there, Rare Patient Voice, a supporter of the It's a Wrap with Rap podcast, is paying for your input. Patients 16 years and older and caregivers, family, and friends of any disability, disorder, syndrome, illness, or condition have the opportunity to express their opinions through surveys and interviews to improve medical products and services. Who knows your journey better than you? Rare Patient Voice puts you in touch with researchers who are developing products and services that can help you and others with your condition. These researchers need input of patients to develop products and services that have a significant impact on patients' lives. Over the past 9 years, Rare Patient Voice has paid patients over $10 million. When you join Rare Patient Voice, you may be invited to participate in interviews, surveys, or online communities where you will share your insights. Rare Patient Voice has hundreds of studies running at any time, so there are many opportunities to participate. You will earn $120 per hour or $2 a minute, depending on the length of the survey, for participating in these studies. By making your voice heard, you are a catalyst for change. Rest assured, your input will be used to help other patients like you. There is no cost at all for you to participate. You can get more information and sign up by clicking the link in the sponsor's notes of this podcast or the link provided in this announcement. Yeah,
And I was like, I can't see anything. And so now I'm about to panic. So now I go to speak, only
right.
not to be able to speak
Oh, wow.
because my jaw was broken, so they wired it shut.
Yeah.
I
So,
was
yeah.
like, what kind of nightmare is this, man?
Wow.
And so now that they're hearing me trying to speak and I guess you could say somewhat move, because I didn't even realize I had on a neck collar from the severe whiplash and stuff, but they're like, "Oh, hey, what's going on? What's going on?" So one of each is on each side, of the bed, and they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I'm trying my best to say what's going on, but when you have your mouth wired shut, for those who have never had their mouth wired shut, so you know how you can chomp your teeth with your lips closed,
Yeah.
you can't even do that.
Wow.
There is no movement whatsoever, and trust me, I tried. I tried to break the wire." Because I wanted to talk
Right.
and I was tired of writing on a piece of paper, not being able to see.
Yeah.
I was like, this is terrible. So that's what I ended up having to do is write on a piece of paper, what is this motorcycle accident dream you guys are talking about? And I handed it back to my mom and she's like, that's not a dream. That's what happened to you.
Did
And
you
if
think you were having a nightmare?
well, when I first woke up, I did. And that made it even worse because now I know I'm not asleep.
Yeah.
you know
Reality.
um yeah, that's when the reality set in. Now I'm sinking into the bed. I'm now like I just kind of shut down in a sense, and it wasn't because I didn't want to talk anymore. I just didn't know what to do. Like it was like how the saying goes, I just got hit with a ton of bricks because
Yeah.
like it literally felt like the weight of the world was sitting on me.
You hit a brick wall for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now,
And
uh, after you started healing,
mhm.
I mean, I know your mindset is probably down in the dumps. It has to be, from the initial shock. Did you deal with this on your own, or did you get professional help?
Yeah, eventually I would get mental therapy and things of that nature. What really helped me, and I advocate for this for everybody. I don't care who you are. Um, Whether it's as difficult as something that I've been through, or it's just you're having like maybe an operation that keeps you in the hospital or a rehab facility for a couple of days. If you have somebody that you know is like that, friend, family, coworker, associate, whatever, go see them during that time because we want to see you. Like
Right.
I did, you people don't understand how much that helped me heal, how quickly it sped me along. Because every time somebody walked in that room, guess what I was wanting to do? Tell you what I did that day.
You wanted to talk, you wanted to converse.
With that, plus I wanted to tell you the progress I'm making. Guys, guess what I did today? Yeah, they let me slide in the car. You
Yeah.
know, like, I actually got to go to the gym today. I actually walked all the way down and back today because I had to learn how to walk all over again. I broke both of my legs. And
Kijuan,
by the way, that
yeah,
is not easy to do. When you learn how to walk when you're a baby or a toddler, you're only at like 20, maybe 30 pounds. Add 120 or 130 pounds to that and then try to do it.
not that easy for sure.
Not at all.
Did you receive any help from the Air Force
As far as what?
as far as your recovery?
So all of my um initial recovery would be at UNC Hospital. That's where I was life flighted to. So
Eh,
UNC in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Okay.
Uh, Go Tar Heels, by the way. I am
Which,
a Tar
by
Heel
the
fan.
way, is one of the premier hospitals in the country.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. So I would be life flighted there. Um, and because that was the closest one to the scene of the crime. And I would spend 2 months there initially. And then once I got home, I did I switched over my care, my what do you call it? Well, actually at first I was still at home doing in-home health therapy. So they were coming to me at
Okay.
first when I was at home. And then after I was able to get back to, I guess you say walking and doing a little bit more moving, I would switch my care over to Duke because I, of course, lived in Durham.
Another
And
great facility, I might add.
exactly. And so where I lived in Durham, maybe a 5 minute drive to Duke.
Yeah.
So I'm literally right here by all the best hospitals. It was one of those great situations to be in an accident. If you had to pick a situation, that was a good one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so because I'm surrounded by a bunch of great hospitals, and the Durham VA was literally right beside. It's literally right across the street from
Uh-huh.
Duke.
But you didn't go there.
No, no, I didn't step foot into a VA until I figured out that I could go to a VA, and that was a little ways down the road. That
Okay.
might have been another year and a half, to maybe two,
Okay.
because I'm still thinking since I'm in the military that I need to be probably trying to go to a military facility versus the VA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, no, you can go to the VA." I was like, "Oh, I can't." Oh, okay. So that's when I switched my stuff over to them.
But you didn't find that out right away.
Nope.
So there
No,
was just a lack of communication or what?
it was a lack of knowledge. Nobody really knew. We didn't know what to do, to be honest, because in the reserves, you kind of know, but you really don't because you never really dealt with that stuff. Active duty usually gets all these accidents or war injuries and stuff like that. Not usually the reserves, you know what I mean? So,
Okay.
especially not in a flying squadron.
Yeah.
Now, if you're like an infantry or some kind of security forces, that type of squadron, yeah, maybe, but flying squadrons, not so much.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. Now let's talk about your path going forward. When you
mhm.
were down in the beginning, what was that like for you, and what turned it around? for you to move forward and pivot your mindset into a positive position? And did your military training help you?
So yeah, so what kind of got me down in the beginning was actually like I mentioned earlier, when I was at the hospital, people would come to visit me all the time. It was, I mean, I don't remember a day where somebody didn't come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There might have been an hour or two, but I don't remember a day. So um when I got out of the hospital though, that's slowly started, trickling and going back. And it was sometimes somebody would come every other day, then it turned to every 2 days, 3 days, then it turned to once a week. And I'm like, okay, this is becoming boring because all I'm doing is looking at laying in here with four walls, doing the same thing over and over, physical therapy or occupational therapy,
Yeah.
you know, eating the same meals, it was starting to get old without people making it exciting
Right.
because that's what I was looking forward to and I had got used to. It was almost like that was my lifeline.
Yeah.
And so here's where it would really take a turn. A young lady the young lady that I was talking to at the time uh, of my accident, she would not once, not twice, but three times no show on me, which means she did not show up when she said she was going to.
Uh-huh.
And so and then when I reach out to you, you don't respond or you respond really late. When I call you, you don't answer. Okay, what did I do? Because I wasn't the one who agreed to come see me. You were.
Right.
And then you give me some lame excuses at that, and so that was taking a toll on me. And then you did the ultimate thing. And for all my listeners who understand this terminology, she ghosted me.
She ghosted you. Yeah.
Yeah. She ghosted me.
At the worst time possible.
Yes. To and when I say ghosted, I don't mean just block me. I mean completely changed her phone number
Wow.
because the person who had it was trying to figure out why I kept calling them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have my life now. I have a beautiful girlfriend. She's an amazing person. And I know she's beautiful because she is on the inside. It's not about what's on the outside.
That's true.
It's the inside that matters nowadays
Yeah.
because people can put on whatever front they want to show you when they're pretty on the outside. But that inside you can't just change that overnight.
Right.
So she's very beautiful and hey, the other young lady, she's married now. Hey, y'all have at it. You know, I wish the best for her. I wish nothing but the best for anybody. That's not
Right.
my reality is not to hold any grudges because it doesn't help me.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what kind of turned me down that dark path of depression and suicidal ideations. So
Well, I'm glad it worked out, and I'm glad
yeah.
that other lady showed up.
Mhm.
Now, do you have any daily practices that you perform to stay focused and help you move forward?
Music.
Ah, okay. For those not on YouTube, we're looking at drums and a keyboard, I guess, right?
That's correct. That is correct. Music is me and I say that because I've been especially in love with the drums since I was like a little kid. But I didn't start playing until I was 7, which I mean that's not late. That's early in life.
Yeah.
But I started playing when I was 7 years old. And I still play to today, as you can see.
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I play at my church every Sunday that I'm home. So I am the drummer there, one of the two that we have. We have many, but well, right now two main drummers. And so I've been playing ever since, even when I was in the military. So I was stationed here in North Carolina as well, down at Seymour Johnson. And when I came home during the weekend, I'm at church. I would drive back home an hour and a half.
That must be an awesome service you play at.
Well, but that's how much I love those things. Like that's the like that's a true passion right there. The flying thing was amazing. The traveling was awesome. That is a passion.
That's
Like
what,
if I could
well,
never play that again, I don't know what I would do.
well, let's hope you keep playing forever.
You and me both.
Key
You
one,
and me both.
Key one, did the pandemic affect your journey moving forward at all?
Uh,
Robert Christopher Coppice, a guest and supporter of the It's a Wrap with Rap podcast, scientist and retired financier, has studied near-death experiences for decades and has lectured on this topic in the United States and Europe. His book, Impressions of Near-Death Experiences, Quotations from over 100 experiencers, gives us an impression of what near-death experiences are like by giving many hundreds of quotes from more than 100 experiencers from all over the world and from many cultural backgrounds. The book will entice you to put your traditional ideas aside while reading the quotes and sensing how they feel for you. The reader will let go of whatever ways they have been programmed by their upbringing or by religion and will open their mind to receive whatever wisdom that can be found in these testaments of people who have experienced the first moments of physical death. There is a large growing number of these extraordinary experiences, and most of them have had a profound impact on the people who had such experiences. So there must be something in them. They cannot simply be ignored. What is remarkable is that a subset of these near-death experiences consist of so-called veridical observations, meaning they are observations near-death experiencers made and that were subsequently independently verified observations that near-death experiencers could have only made if their consciousness was outside their bodies. Like the number of near-death experiences, the number of these veridical observations is growing quickly as well. This seems to give circumstantial evidence that our consciousness can exist separately from our body. If such is the case, then we may conclude that near-death experiences are not only extraordinary, but they are also real, and humanity needs to heed their important messages. The book includes such topics as the light, the life review, distressing near-death experiences, the question why are we on Earth, and the after effects of near-death experiences, all of which the near-death experiencer has been exposed to. What we may learn from this important book is that it is all about love and compassion toward yourself and others, and that everything and everybody is always connected. This wonderful book, Impressions of Near-Death Experiences, Quotations from over 100 experiencers, has the potential to break many taboos about our current ideas about life and death, and we can reap the benefits of the near-death experience without having to nearly die. This book is highly recommended for those seeking deeper understanding of this fascinating aspect of human experience. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats from Amazon. Information about the book will be listed in the podcast notes or by clicking the link in this announcement.
so actually, the pandemic had pluses and minuses. I try to do pros and cons. So I'll tell you the bad side first. So at first, I was, getting really active, because 2020, 2017, I was actually getting my feet back up under me pretty well, to the point where I was going to the YMCA and swimming. You know,
That's
um,
great.
Yeah, swimming, I was
That's the best exercise there is, as far as
it
I'm
is.
concerned. I swim every day.
Especially for somebody who has a spinal cord injury and broken
Yeah,
legs.
yeah, absolutely.
Because I just get them kicking, get them going,
Yeah.
and so I literally did the lap pool and would hold the little board and go all the way down and go all the way
You
back.
said that was at the Y, huh?
Yeah, at the YMCA.
Is that a
Yeah.
heated pool?
No.
No.
No. I will
Outside?
remember that very well.
It's an outside pool?
No, it's indoor. They just don't heat the lap
They
pools.
don't heat it.
They don't
No?
heat the lap pools because your lap swimmers or swimmers,
Yeah.
they don't want to be hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they want
it's
to get in there
probably
and
at
go.
least 75 degrees, I'm sure.
I don't know if it was that because I'm telling you, I got in there, I was like,
Well, cold
I
water is
was
good for you.
frigid.
Cold water, well, freezing water is supposed to be good for you.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
That's what they say. I just know it wasn't fun to be in.
It just wasn't comfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I was doing, swimming laps. I would get, progressively better. I would be able to swim more and more laps or faster, you know. And
Yeah.
then there's a competition I used to go to called Valor Games here in North Carolina. It's actually based out of Durham with Bridge 2 Sports. And I used to compete in that. Well, I did tandem cycling, powerlifting. Uh, what else did they do? They also do kayaking, archery, air rifle. Yeah, air rifle. We did air rifle. Bocce ball. Ooh, anything else? Am I missing? I think that's
They
pretty.
keep you active.
Yeah, I know they had something. I just, for whatever reason, I'm blanking on it. Did they have rowing? Yeah, rowing. Yep, because I
Yeah.
competed in that. Sometimes I get the different programs that I do confused. That's why I'm trying not to mix it. But yeah, during that time, I was doing all these different things and I was speaking as well, because, I'm a motivational speaker. So I
Yes.
had started speaking in 2019 and then here comes the pandemic in 2020, March. I remember like it was yesterday. March comes and they're like, yeah, you guys can't do that anymore. And I'm like, wait, what?
They were
And like,
locking
yeah,
you up.
it'll only be for 2 weeks. Oh, okay. Okay, 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks go by. Yeah, it'll be for like another 2 weeks. Well, okay, come on now. Yeah, we're probably not opening up for another 6 months.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, no, that was the worst I had ever, dealt with something. And so m- at that point, yes, I could have stayed and just sat at home, ate and gained all the weight in the world. I'm not gonna say I didn't. For those who can't see, I'm patting my belly. But uh what I will say is that was when I learned how to use my computer. So I would get lessons, typing keyboard lessons virtual from the blind rehab center with the VA out of Augusta, Georgia. They would send me a computer and the guy would get on the call with me and he basically, just kind of talked me through like, okay, put your hands on the home row, all that stuff, teaching me all the basics. And
Yeah.
it's not like I didn't know it. I just needed to relearn it. And
Yeah.
so did that. That was like October-ish time frame, September, October time frame of 2020. And I started writing my book. That was when I started writing my book in the pandemic in October of 2020. Which, when I tell you every day throughout the week, I was jumping on that computer and writing at least one chapter a day.
That must have been cathartic for you.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And what I would do is I would plan my day. I said, okay, I'm gonna eat breakfast. And then depending on how I felt, I would either go lay back down for a little while, but I'm getting up at least by 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. so that I could jump on the computer because I'm gonna type for 2 hours until lunch, take my lunch break, and
Yeah.
then I'm gonna go back at it. Because if I don't go back at it, I'm not going to. And so that was like my work day is what it was. Is what it felt like. It felt like a work day to me.
Yeah.
And so those are actually pretty interesting days. My grandmother would be like, "What are you doing?" Because she worked at Duke, and so she would go to work, and then she would come back home, and I would open the door for her. And again, I'm 100% blind. I would open the door for her. She'd come in the house, and she's like, "Oh, what you doing?" I said, just over here typing, right, and, a couple pages for my book and stuff." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And so, I'm just typing stuff. She's like, "Can I read it?" I was like, I would rather you not." Stuff like that, because I want everybody to see it, when it's final.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
know,
So,
you bring something up. I've got a podcast coming out in a couple days. You
mhm.
need to listen to. It's a fellow named Lonnie Bedwell.
Okay.
He's a retired, well, he was in the Navy, I think,
Mhm.
and he's a blind veteran, and he didn't know much about the VA system either.
Mhm.
And he found out later about it. But he's blind, and he kayaked the Colorado River through
Wow.
the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
226 miles.
Ooh.
He had some assistance, of course,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
but that should be a good podcast for you to listen to because I think you
Ooh,
could relate
man.
to him.
That's a long way.
That's a long way, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm also hoping to do kayaking this year, sailing as well as surfing this
yeah,
year,
yeah,
because the VA has this clinic. It's called the Summer Sports Clinic, and they do it out in San Diego, and I'm hoping to get selected for it.
yeah. Well,
And they'll
yeah,
host it in August.
yeah. He had something like that. I can't think of the organization, but it was an organization that he joined. I think it was through the Navy or the
Hmm.
military. No, it was through the VA. So
Okay.
anyway, yeah, give that podcast a listen to because I think it's something you could definitely relate to.
Mm.
Uh, so let's talk about your book. Don't focus on why me. This podcast has been uh, dealing with that term, and I always say, uh, don't ask why me. A lot of people say, ask why not me,
Mhm.
or uh, what can I learn from this? And
Yeah.
so, what was the catalyst to write it? And you knew it would make you vulnerable. So, what was your thought process to go ahead and write it?
That one day when I was laying in my hospital bed, I don't remember the exact day, but I do remember that day because this would be the rare occasion when somebody was not in my hospital room. And I'm sitting there finally to the point where I'm just questioning everything. And I'm a faith believer, so I'm questioning God. Why would this happen to me? Like, why would you let this happen to me? What made you choose me for this? Like, what did I do wrong? And when I finally stopped asking questions and shut up, he was like, "Well, why not you?" And I was like, "What? Wait a minute. Now I know I'm in this room alone." And from that moment on, he started to kind of rattle off things that I did without looking, whether it was playing the drums. Before I lost my eyesight, people used to tell me all the time, "Why you close your eyes when you play the drums?" I said, "I do what?" I didn't know I was doing that
Yeah,
until people would mention it to me. And so I was like, "Oh, I didn't know I was doing it. I just be in the zone if my eyes are closed." And then he mentioned, when you get up and you go to the bathroom at night, you don't turn lights on because it's stimulation. That could
right,
wake
right.
you up. And when I was a little kid, we played hide and seek outside at night. Oh man, I'm like the best one because you can. First off, you're not gonna find me. I had some really great hiding spots. But secondly, my night vision was top notch. So when I see the person who's it go past me, I'm going the other way.
Gotcha.
It was just a lot of things he was showing me. He was just like, and guess what? You're not the first person to ever be blind.
And
And when
you heard this.
yeah, and when he's revealing all this to me, I'm like, well, you would do that to me. He's like, you did ask. And so once I realized that he wouldn't put more on me than I could bear, that's when I realized that I had to write something about this. Other than the fact that, hearing it from other people, yeah, I get it. You guys are telling me what you heard and what you're seeing. You know, that's cool. But what about what I go through, what I feel? It's time for me to show my vulnerability in this accident and in this moment. Because that's what the military does not teach you. They do not teach you how to be vulnerable. I tell you that right now.
They don't want
Uh,
you. They want you to have a stiff upper lip, right?
yeah, that and a couple other things. So that and like you mentioned, the why not me? I actually did a motivational speaking engagement titled "Why Not Me." So that's why when you said that, I started smiling. I've already spoken on that, and it goes back to what I just said. Well, why not you?
Right,
Figure out if you can. Everybody can take the victim mentality of the why me, but
right.
if you can say why not me, and actually figure out the answers to that and come out victorious,
Yeah.
you win.
Yeah, and I always use like instead of why me,
Mhm.
why is this happening for me? Maybe there's a reason
Yep.
this is happening, right?
Yeah.
Even though, we don't understand it in the beginning, we generally understand it later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us, well, what do you hope the reader gets out of reading the book?
I hope they gain understanding for what someone is who is disabled, or what I like to call differently abled, goes through, but also, this is the initial side of me. Like that book is the initial side of me. What you guys are hearing now is a more refined me
Right.
and somebody who's been, through training now. At that point, I hadn't been through much training
Yeah.
of what I'm telling you about, but what I am teaching you throughout the book are lessons, and you read it for yourself, so
I
you
did.
you understand what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
At the end of every chapter, I bring it back to a learning point. And so it's almost like I'm writing. So say for example, military members, we go through boot camp. When we go through boot camp, or even when you deploy, sometimes it's remote, you can't get access to a phone, you write letters. That's kind of what I'm doing here to the reader. I want to write letters to you all so that you understand this is the chapter where he went to the hospital. This is the chapter when he started doing recovery. This is the chapter when he's learning to embrace and confront the issue. This
Yeah.
is what I'm doing for you all. And I'm telling you, I don't know how you did with the book, but everybody that usually talks to me, they're like, I couldn't put it down.
Yeah. It was pretty much like that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
got to get back to the book. I got to see what's going on here.
yeah,
Where's this going?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Tell us a little bit about your motivational speaking. Was it hard at first, and how has it been received from those wanting to be inspired?
So I would say that initially, like I said, it was before the pandemic hit. It was doing all right. Um, it was me initially talking to like schools. Like, so I went back to my alma mater that you spoke of in the introduction, Southern High School. I would speak to the school, I would speak to the high school or team, football team. I would speak to some of the classes that I used to take because some of the teachers that were there when I was there are still there. I
Yeah.
don't know if they are now, but they were then. And then I would go to one of my best friends, his school, because he got me to come speak to them, just different things like that. And then I would speak at my church. I set up my own event to speak at my church, which is where I did the Why Not Me engagement. But that's what I spoke on, was the why not me. And just different things like that. And once the pandemic hit, I mean, when I tell you, it kind of just like shut everything down.
Yeah, dude.
And everybody, of course, like, oh, well, just do it on Zoom. I'm like, that is not the same as standing in front of somebody. Like, what don't y'all get about that? I'm blind. I can't see you on the screen. And especially if everybody's microphone is muted? Now that makes it even harder because I'm like, I think the screen is right here, so I'm gonna stay.
Yeah,
But if I'm on the stage, I can turn this away. I can turn this away. I can engage in the front. I can move
yeah,
and feel a sense of presence. Feel your response. I'm trying to engage with you. It's so hard to do that over a screen.
it is.
I'm
It
telling
is.
you.
But we do
Yeah,
our best. I mean,
yeah. And so, but what I'm getting at is everybody thought it would be an easy transition for me, and I'm like, no, because I like being in front of people.
yeah, you want to hear the reactions and everything.
And so, what got hard was that the change from being in front of people to the Zoom. Because I mean, I've done, speaking engagements for like Wells Fargo over Zoom and, different like uh like some of the organizations that I was a part of, this blind, what do they call it? School for the Blind in Raleigh. I did something for them. I've done this stuff via Zoom, but it's not the same. You know?
Right, right.
And so Toastmasters, all these different things. But anyway, now that I'm able to get out, oh, I feel so much better. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
kind of hybrid because some people still are like, well, can you do it online? I'm like, yeah, I can, but I really don't want to.
But
You
it's been
know,
well received.
oh yeah, yes, yes, it
Okay.
is.
And you've gotten positive feedback, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, no, definitely. I have had, however, someone tell me my story did not matter and that it was old.
Really.
I kid you not, because I wish I could find them. And then
Yeah.
I would put on my taken voice. I would say, I will find you and I'll kill you. I'm joking. But
Well, yeah.
it's just one of those moments where I was like, wait, what? And luckily I wasn't on the phone with them. It was at that time I had a PR person, public relations type person. And so they were the ones who was getting this information back to me. And it wasn't the first time she had said this. And I'm like, is this the same person or somebody different? She's like, no, this I keep hearing this over and over. I'm like, you're not selling me hard enough, apparently. And I was like, you
Well,
know what? It's okay. Your contract is coming up. Guess what? You won't be with me. So yeah. And ever
uh,
since I've been doing, better because who knows how to talk about you than you, you
Kijuan,
know?
there's always going to be an outlier out there.
Oh yeah, every
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
every
there's going to
time.
be an outlier. How can people contact you?
Yes. So if you want to reach out to me, there is a one-stop shop you can go to, and it is
Okay.
called ameymotivation.com.
All
Yes, that
right.
is AMEY motivation.com. You can find my social media handles on there, such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and I have some YouTube videos up there as well. And if they are not working, those links are not working because somebody has reported that to me, just search me on all of those platforms as Kijuan Amey. That's KIJUAN AMEY. And I should be the one to pop up with these cool shades on. And then if you want to purchase my book, that is up there as well. The link is up there for that. Don't focus on why me, from motorcycle accident to miracle, is that title. And if you would like to book me for any speaking engagements such as conferences, events, what have you, feel free to click on that book me now link and you can find me there.
Okay, we're going to put that in the podcast notes, and I assume the book is available on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, and Apple.
Okay. Barnes and Noble.
No, no, that was again during the pandemic, and they were having these little up and down
Oh,
moments.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, last question. What advice do you have for those out there listening or viewing that are going through their struggles to stay resilient through their journey?
So I have a quote that I have now picked up. Just going back to the 90s, if you will. I used to watch Fresh Prince, and I heard something on there, and it said, "My situation does not define who I am. I define who I am." So when somebody's trying to put labels on you, for example, blind, immobile, having cerebral palsy, autism, ADD, ADHD, depression, bipolar disorder, whatever they're trying to label you with. Don't let that define you, but you define you.
Good quote. My situation does not define who I am. I define who I am.
Exactly.
Awesome advice. What's next for Kijuan Amey? Any new projects in the works?
Yeah, well, I actually have my annual speaking engagement coming up here. That's going to be held in Carborough, North Carolina. That's Carrboro, North Carolina, at a restaurant called La Montana Restaurant. I'm hosting it there, and it is May 3rd, 2025, and we'll be there from 12 to 3 p.m. And that event is actually posted on eventbrite.com. So if you look it up, it's called Will to Overcome. Will be spelled in all capital letters because will is an acronym. It actually stands for Win in Life's Lessons. So when you come to that
Like it.
event, I'll be teaching you how to win in life's lessons in order to overcome adversity.
Okay, and they can find out about that on your website, I take it.
I have not put it on there yet, but again, it is on like all of my social media. I have posted
Facebook.
it all over my social media, as well as eventbrite.com. So
Okay. So if you're in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia maybe area,
heck, if you want to fly in, come on.
just fly right in. I want to thank you, Kiwan, for being a guest on the podcast, and once again, thank you for your service. I wish you nothing but good health, happiness going forward in your inspiring work, and I hope to have you back again to spotlight your future work helping other people. So once again, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thank you
Uh,
so much for having me. I really
it,
do appreciate
it
it
was it was
again.
great talking to you. Comments and suggestions for the podcast, you can email me at it's a wrap with rap at gmail.com. Our Facebook group, there's a couple thousand people in there. It's a wrap with rap. That's a private group. So email me if you want to get in, if you're on Facebook. Instagram is at it's a wrap with rap podcast. Twitter or X at rapper, WRAPPER 130. Our website, once again, is it's a wrap with rap.com. And our YouTube channel is It's a Wrap with Rap, the podcast uncut. We do not edit that, so that's just the straight podcast uncut. Want to thank everyone for listening or viewing, and I want everybody to please stay safe. And for now, it's a wrap.